Welcome to Sports Corner with Ralph Williams and Smokin' Jim Frazier. And now here's your host, Ralph Williams and Smokin' Jim Frazier.
Oh, yeah. What a way to get the Christmas season started with some Trans-Siberian Orchestra and the Christmas Sarajevo, one of my favorite bands for Christmas time. Yeah. How about we get this rocking show started here? It's the Sports Corner Show with me, Ralph Williams, and Smokin' Jim Frazier. And later on, 4:30 this afternoon, we have Mike SISZAK coming on from the Amped Up Sports. And he's going to talk about the Steeler-Ravens game and also about the Washington Commanders because he covers both for Amped Up Sports. So we're going to have Mike SISZAK joining us at 4:30 by phone here on the Sports Corner Show every Tuesday, 4 to 5 p.m. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter X platforms. We're back on Twitter X. I was able to get something straightened out, and we're back on Twitter X platform. So, and also we'll be on some other platforms coming up at the beginning of the year. And but right now, this is where we are here. And this show today is dedicated to my late father, Ralph Williams II, and my late nephew, Sean Negley Jr. Also, don't forget, coming up tonight at 8 o'clock, I will be joining Pensman Sports, and we're going to be having a Steeler talk show tonight at 8 o'clock. So join us here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter X platform, on the Ralph Williams RW media platforms, and on our social media platforms as well. So, all right, Smokin' Jim Frazier, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing good, Ralph. I'm ready for this one, buddy.
Oh, you know it, man. You know it. All right. My rant today is simple, and it's not that hard. It's about the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pittsburgh Pirates went through the winter meetings, the hot stove luncheon, and whatever else they're doing. Now I'm hearing stories they want to trade Mitch Keller. They want to trade David Bednar. They want to get rid of Jared Jones. They're looking here. They're looking there. They need to get more pop in the bat. What needs to happen is that Bob Nutting needs to put some pop in that wallet of his and open it up and start paying some players and quit trading away all your good players. I know Keller's an average pitcher. He has been the last couple. I mean, I know he made the All-Star game and all that stuff. But he struggled at the end of last season. And so, but to get rid of your core players like that and continue to just keep doing it and doing it and doing it and not coming up with any kind of a result. What is it called? It says keep doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result. That's the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's my rant today. Smokin' Jim's wisdom.
Hey, great job, Ralph. I tell you what, man. Bill Cowher, one of the most competitive guys I've ever been around, kind of surprised me one time when he told me that his goal every year is to go 7-1 at home and split the road games 4-4 and go 11-5. And I think that for me, I would take some of Bill Cowher's approach this weekend going into Baltimore. I would sit my injured players, T.J. Watt, who's up for defensive MVP. George Pickens, who's got an ankle injury and is on his way to another 1,000-yard season. And Elliott, at least those three, who's having a great season this year, is a strong safety. Hey, listen, it's already hard to win on the road, especially when you got a young offensive line. They play 3 games in 10 days. I would focus. I'm not saying they still may be able to beat Baltimore, even with the sitting these guys out. It's doubtful. But I would lay on my shield this week in Baltimore and put all my healthy players, get them all ready for Christmas Day at home. versus the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's what I would do.
All right, Smokin' Jim Frazier. I got an article here, Smokin' Jim, that I want to talk about today. It's brought to you by the Nelly News Update. And they said that Bill Cowher made a statement when he was in town recently to interview Russell Wilson. And it said that here's the heading of this by Nelly News. It says Steelers former head coach Bill Cowher has left a shocking message to the Pittsburgh Steelers owner, the Rooney family, frustrating his ownership and causing significant stir within. Hold on a minute here. Let me look at this here. I don't know what happened. Oh, there it goes. Okay. It says, in a stunning turn of events, former Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Bill Cowher has caused a significant stir within the Rooney family, making headlines with comments that have left the team ownership visibly frustrated. All right. It says Cowher, who led the Steelers to Super Bowl victory and is beloved by fans, made bold statements concerning the direction of the franchise in a recent interview. His remarks, while candid, have raised eyebrows among Steeler leadership with some let me see here. His remarks, while candid, have raised eyebrows among Steeler leadership. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. The Steeler ownership and leadership has struck a nerve with the Rooney family. I've always been a big part of the Steelers' success story, but sometimes the family needs to understand that change is inevitable. Now, that's just part of this article, Smokin' Jim. What is your thoughts on this Bill Cowher article? And I want everyone's comments out there today. What's your thoughts on this statement by Bill Cowher?
I didn't understand one word that you read, so I'm confused. I'm not familiar with it.
Well, he
really
made a comment that the ownership needs to start making some changes. Now, what he means by that, I don't know. Now, the remarks have reportedly upset Steeler owner Art Rooney II and other key members of the ownership group, who have long been committed to maintaining the franchise's story legacy. Now, Cowher says in a statement that the Steeler organization needs to start making some changes because they're not Super Bowl worthy. What are your thoughts on what his comments were to Nelly News?
Well, for one, I don't believe he said it. Two, I got to question the source that article was provided by. Yeah, it's not something Bill Cowher would ever say publicly.
Right.
Yeah, I don't believe it. Maybe this is things that he may feel
right
personally, but I don't think he would publicly say it. But taking it for what it's worth, yeah, the Rooneys and their organization should have made some changes a long time ago. I think that you been on a bandwagon with that for a long time.
I have.
They keep continuing to stay status quo. They're satisfied with that. So they're satisfied with mediocrity, mediocre might. Yeah, so that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, this article was brought to you by Nelly News. Okay. They were the ones that posted this article. All right. Mata Heating and Air Conditioning is our studio sponsor, 724-2010-500. Call Mata today, Heating and Air Conditioning. We are in the 808 studios up here in the Allentown section of the city of Pittsburgh. And we have 5 minutes till we go to a break, Smokin' Jim. But your thoughts on the Steelers-Eagles game? Let's get started with a few of your comments. Go ahead.
Okay, I pretty much predicted what was going to happen. Pittsburgh hadn't won in Philadelphia since 1965. Philly was coming off of a bad showing against Carolina. I knew they'd be sky high for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of people don't realize this is a rivalry, man. Maybe not in Pittsburgh, but even from high school, whether it's high school football, basketball, wrestling, volleyball, it's always Pittsburgh versus Philly for the state championship. Philadelphia has always looked down on Pittsburgh as a little brother, the smaller city. Philadelphia got the best interior lines. Football's one with the interior lines, got the best interior lines in football. The Steelers' offensive line may be a bottom 10 offensive line in the whole league. Philadelphia time of possession surprised me a little bit. We couldn't get anything going. Time of possession hurt us. Philadelphia just beat us physically. They outcoached us. So really wasn't a surprise. The only biggest surprise is I didn't put more money on Philadelphia.
No, you did say they were going to lose. I mean, I even thought the Steelers were going to lose, but I didn't think that they would. I mean, I know they got mediocre Mike got out coached. That's the first thing. Second thing, his team was undisciplined in this game. Very, very, some bad penalties that should have never really happened. And I heard Charlie Batch make a statement that even though you get hit, you don't hit back. You shouldn't mess around with people like that. And for Darnell Washington, and I know he was trying to block and everything, to push that Philadelphia Eagle guy all the way to the stands, to me. I mean, I know you're blocking the guy, and sometimes your momentum takes you that way. And then and I get that Calvin Austin was trying to defend his teammate, but you don't cause those kind of penalties and cause your team to have a problem. I thought the officiating was poor, and we talked about this on the post game on Sunday. That I thought that that one call where they called the Philly Eagles guy for a penalty, and they didn't give the Steelers the ball. It was 4th and 7. It was a 15-yard penalty, and they went ahead and gave the ball to Philly on the 1-yard line. And and then the Steelers didn't blitz, and I thought that was a problem. And just too many errors, mistakes, and again they got out coached. And I agree with you 100% on that, Smokin' Jim. Any other comments you want to add about the game on Sunday?
No, I think it's pretty much summed up.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said before, I think that I agree with some of what this statement is by Bill Cowher. And if he did say it, maybe he said it in a different, privately to somebody, and it got to this news people. I don't know. But I do know Bill Cowher is frustrated as well as everyone else should be, as he's probably still a fan of the team, and everything else. And, the owner needs to get with the times, and that is the truth. And if the ownership group has a problem with that, then why don't they straighten it out? Okay. Like you said, mediocre Mike, mediocre seasons, 9-8, that kind of stuff you would think wouldn't be that acceptable. You know what I'm saying? And here we are, with that stuff going on. So, but anyway, all right, Smokin' Jim, we're going to be talking about the NFL games coming up. We also have at 4:30 today, everybody, we have Mike SISZAK coming on from the Amped Up Sports, and he's going to talk about the Baltimore Ravens, what we can expect this Saturday. Of course, we pretty much already know, but Mike's going to bring us some insight a little bit on that. And he's also covers the Washington Commanders, who screeched out a 1-point victory this past week as well. So, but anyway, we're also, I wanted to talk tonight. We'll be on later on for our Wrestle Talk show with me, Smokin' Jim Frazier. 5 to 5:30 we'll be on now, unless we have a guest, then we'll be on for a whole hour. But it's going to be 5 p.m. to 5:30. And then don't forget on Saturdays, 10 a.m. or 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., 12:50 a.m., 92.5 The Answer. And that is the Ralph Williams Show. And then from 2 to 3 p.m., the Sports Corner radio show with me, Ralph Williams, Smokin' Jim Frazier, Claudia Rosano, and Luther Dupree on 12:50 a.m., 92.5 FM. The Answer. My guest this week on the Ralph Williams Show this Saturday will be Dave Brisbach, who is the David Bonarati, who is the county council person on the Allegheny County Council, and we're going to talk about the county budget and a whole lot more on Saturday at 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then don't forget 2 to 3 p.m. the Sports Corner show, radio show with me, Ralph Williams, Smokin' Jim Frazier, Claudia Rosano, and Luther Dupree. All right, when we come back after these words, we're going to talk some more of sports talk and some more Sports Corner show here with me, Ralph Williams, and Smokin' Jim Frazier. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
How about some sponsorship advertising with RW Media Productions? Affordable rates. You can get 6 podcasts, 2 radio shows on 1250 AM and 92.5 FM The Answer, and on rwmediaproductions.com as well. All for one affordable price. Call today, 412-545-4317, or email at ralphwilliams737@gmail.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Draft Nation, the leader in pro sports drafts, content, and events, invites you to join the sports premier sports draft community online at draftnation.com. Enjoy 24/7, 365 coverage of all 4 major sports and their professional drafts, covering all aspects of team building, including player scouting, mock drafts, free agency, trade deadlines, and the needs for your favorite teams. Come join Draft Nation for free at draftnation.com. You like basketball? Well, I have a basketball team here in Pittsburgh called the Steel City Yellow Jackets. They're an ABA basketball team who has won championships and have affordable ticket prices. Their home games are played in the Allentown section of the city of Pittsburgh. Check out scyyellowjackets.com for game information and tickets. Look forward to seeing you there.
All right, we're back here, and now it's time for the fake Mike Tomlin press conference. And now, here's the fake Mike Tomlin. Oh, okay, we had a rough game. I want to come on. I want to say I'm not going to take the blame for being outcoached. This officiating got to go, and I don't care if I get a fine. I'm tired of arguing with officials every game. Just some really bad calls here, and I thought that I got to give credit where it's due to Nick Sirianni and his staff. They came prepared to play. They kicked our butts, and we got to get back into the laboratory. And we got some guys who are hurt right now. The key injury is T.J. Watt. And then we have a short week this week, and we got to prepare early and get ready for the Baltimore Ravens, and that's going to be a real tough sled of a game. I believe that we can clinch the division, but first we have to worry about getting through the Baltimore Ravens. The injuries for this week so far are Okunjobi out with a groin. We also have Deshaun Elliott still out, and we also have Dante Jackson out with a back injury. He's questionable, and then T.J. Watt questionable with the lower ankle. I'll take questions now. The man over here with the Kango hat.
Coach, when it was fourth quarter and it was 4th and 7 and you were in Philadelphia territory, you have second thoughts on punting the football at that point in the game?
No, I made the call. It was on me. I made the call. It was again. I'll say it was on me. I probably should have went for it because Philadelphia ended up controlling the ball for the majority of the rest of the fourth quarter, and we didn't even get a shot at the football. And I think that I made that mistake. That's my fault. But I stick behind my decision as we go along over here. Okay, this guy right over there.
Yeah, how you doing there, Coach? The reason I want to know something a little bit about your thoughts on your team being undisciplined.
Yeah, we got some people like George Pickens that needs to grow up, and we got some guys who just simply played sloppy, got into some fights, and we'll straighten that out this week in practice. And I'm taking everybody out to Burger King this week, and we're going to have 2 for $5 Whopper Juniors, and we're going to sit down and talk about it at Burger King. So I just want to let everyone know that as well. All right, thank you very much. All right, that was the fake Mike Tomlin press conference, and the fake Mike Tomlin press conference is brought to you in part by Big Dog Auto. Call Big Dog Auto today at 412 999-0191. Big Dog Auto for some great auto repair at a great price, and he won't take you to the cleaners like some of these folks do out here with some of that. All right, we got Smokin' Jim's boxing report coming up, and that's brought to you in part today by the original Hometown Pizza, 412-264-4444, the original Hometown Pizza. And we're in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studio, 724-201-0500. You ought to call Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. Smokin' Jim's boxing report.
Hey, not since Don King, who's also from Cleveland, maybe the greatest boxing promoter of all time, have we seen the promotions of the Paul brothers. Logan Paul just signed a contract to fight Conor McGregor in a boxing match, man. This is going to be for mega dollars, man. The Paul brothers just keep coming up with it. They are the ones that make the biggest purses, make the biggest fights, different countries. And again, like Don King, they're from Cleveland. Don't forget, this Saturday, December 21st, is the rematch for all the belts. Heavyweight championship of the world, SISZAK versus Tyson Fury. Winner takes all this Saturday.
Oh, that's going to be interesting. Is that on Showtime, pay-per-view, Netflix? How do we get that fight?
Well, you're going to have to come up with a lot of money to get that one.
Oh, really? How much is it?
I don't know, but it'll be a lot. It's in Saudi Arabia, so it'll be a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably about $50. That's normally what most of the
most of them go for. Fight for 50. You ain't gonna get that fight for 50.
No, I'll check pay-per-view and see what it is.
Yeah,
you know,
you ain't getting that one. You ain't getting that one for 50, brother.
So Tyson Fury's finally fighting, huh?
Well, this is the rematch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they fought. SISZAK beat him in a split decision, and so this is the big rematch, man. It's probably $50 million a piece, something like that.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Maybe more.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, the Saudis got money anyway, so there you go. You know. So.
Oh yeah.
They got more money than any of us. So there we are with that. All right, I want to talk. We'll continue with the Steelers as Coach mentioned there. The loss to the Eagles was 27-13. The official, I said bad coaching. We just talked about undisciplined team and some really bad mistakes and plays that were just made in this game. It was just a bad game from the beginning to the end. And then also the injury report, Larry Ogunjobi, Deontay Jackson, T.J. Watt, and Deshaun Elliott should be back, but we'll see what happens with him as we go along. Also, Corey Trice could be getting some opportunity to play if one of these guys, Beanie Bishop, was in there a little bit. We saw James Pierre. Some of these guys, they just couldn't, Smokin' Jim, defend the pass. And I thought they did a really good job on Saquon Barkley a little bit. They shut him down somewhat, but they just couldn't stop the pass. And it was terrible the way that Jalen Hurts kept throwing the ball around all over the place and with success. And I was getting frustrated because I'm like, well, we got this defense here with all these players, and we're supposed to have the most expensive defense in the NFL, and we can't even defend the pass properly. And your buddy there, Joey Porter, he got burned a couple times. So, your thoughts on the pass defense?
Well, I'm not surprised. Again, I think I said on your radio show.
Yeah.
I got on Luther and some of the other people that were saying that Jalen Hurts was having a poor season passing the football just because one of his receivers was unhappy. I thought he was having a fantastic season offensively, and he proved it against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He could pass on them anytime he wants to. He could pass on any team in the league anytime they want to. They're primarily a running team, with Jalen Hurts being 13 touchdowns. Well, he got more than that now.
Right.
Because of the Bush, and you got Saquon Barkley, who the Pittsburgh Steelers keyed on to stop Barkley. They did a nice job in doing that.
Yeah, they did.
But I'm not surprised that they could not stop Jalen Hurts in the passing game. They got some great weapons in the area of their pass receivers for the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Steelers just don't match up.
Right.
Joey Porter's the most overrated draft choice that they've had in a long time. Don't, and this is something that you said many a times, Ralph. The Pittsburgh Steelers' biggest problem is they won't admit that they made a mistake.
No,
So
they
they'll
will
keep
not.
Joey Porter
They never do.
around a lot. They'll keep him around a lot longer than they should. Again,
Right.
even if you go back and watch the films of the Deutsch push, he was 5 yards away. He knew it was going to be a quarterback sneak. There was no receiver out there. Everybody was on the line. But he is just so against any kind of contact that he was even 5 yards away. He should have been right in there,
Yes.
at least
Exactly.
trying to push the pile the other way. So you had 11 guys pushing, and the Steelers only had 10 guys. I'm trying to stop the push because Joey Porter is a prima donna.
Oh,
Again, if he was on my football team, which he would never be, he would be a free safety.
Oh, yeah.
He is not. The one time he did defend the pass, he happened to be looking back at the quarterback, which was a rarity, and he almost got an interception there in the end zone. He dropped it, but you cannot play this game and make interceptions if you got your back to the ball, unless you got eyes in the back of your head. And the only one I know that had eyes in the back of their head was Gale Sears.
Oh, yeah, there you go. All right, we have Mike SISZAK with us from the Amped Up Sports. He's here to talk with us about the Baltimore Ravens and the Washington Commanders. The Commanders won by 1 point. And then to talk about the Ravens as well, who won their game. And then the Steelers are playing the Ravens this Saturday, 4 o'clock p.m. And he is brought to you in part by today. Mike is brought to you by Robin Campbell, Farmers and Bristol West Insurance. Give him a call today, 412-366-3399. He has some great insurance for you, and he's great. I tell you what, he'll even come to your house, sit down with you and discuss it. He doesn't play email tag. He doesn't play all that other stuff. He will talk to you directly on the phone. And you don't have to go through all kinds of prompts on an 800 number. This guy knows his insurance. He's been doing it for a long time. Robin Campbell Insurance, 412-366-3399. Mike SISZAK, welcome to the program. How are you, Mike?
Ralph, always great to talk to you and Smokin' Jim. How you guys doing?
We're doing real good, Mike. Say hello to Smokin' Jim.
Smokin' Jim, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's happening, Mike? Always good to have you on, buddy.
All right, Mike, this week it's the Steelers versus the Ravens week. It's a short week for both teams because we play it's played on this Saturday at 4 o'clock in Baltimore. Your thoughts on this game, Mike, and what can we expect from the Ravens, and what are we looking at? I mean, I know what the Ravens look at. We've seen them already, but give us a little more insight on what's going on.
Well, this is definitely a must-win for the Ravens. If they have any shot at getting a home game in the playoffs, they need to win the division, and the only way they can win the division is to beat the Steelers.
Right.
And so this is a must-win. I think that if you're going to say that there's an advantage, and I don't think there really is ever an advantage in an AFC North game, it's the black and blue division for a very good reason. If you can say the Ravens have an advantage, it's that they had the Giants last week in an earlier matchup. They were pretty much home by the time the Steelers-Eagles game ended. And if you look at Lamar Jackson, he only had to play 3 quarters. And the Steelers are coming off of a game where they got banged around, and we saw that with T.J. Watt going off with the injury late in the game. They had a tough physical games. The Ravens may have a slight advantage because they might be a little bit better rested. And, I don't know if you have any updates on T.J. Watt's status. I hadn't seen anything that said whether or not he practiced, whether or not he played. So if he's not ready to go, that would be a big loss for the Steelers. In addition,
Right.
They got to figure out this George Pickens thing, because we saw against the Eagles with the Steelers, the difference that having George Pickens would have made. The Eagles were able to basically say to the Steelers, we're going to shade to one side of the field and basically say, if you want to pass, you're going to have to pass to Mike Williams.
Right.
And Russell Wilson wasn't willing to do that much. So all those moonshots and explosive plays that they missed because George Pickens wasn't there. So it's going to be a tough matchup. The Ravens really have it's a rivalry game. It's probably the best rivalry going right now in the NFL. And it's a big deal. They already dropped one to the Steelers. They're not looking to drop two. And they know that if they want to make a serious playoff run, they need to have home field advantage. And the only way that they're going to get it is to beat the Steelers on Saturday.
All right. Smokin' Jim, you have any questions for Mike?
Hey, Mike nailed it, man. The Pittsburgh Steelers, if they don't be careful, Mike, got a chance to finish 10-7. Me personally, I don't know how you feel about this. Listen, the Pittsburgh Steelers have to play 3 games in 10 days. The Ravens are very well rested. They had a bye week, and they had another bye week with the Giants. They're playing at home. It's hard to win on the road. If I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, my focus will be Kansas City at home on Christmas Day. I would rest up all my injured players. I would go in there and play hard with the people who are healthy. But I would sit T.J. Watt, George Pickens, Elliott, and any other player that's injured. And I would take my chances against Kansas City at home. What you think, Mike?
You know, I understand, Smokin' Jim, where you're coming from, and that makes a lot of sense. But it's the Steelers and the Ravens. And this is about more than just the game itself. This is about pride. Mike Tomlin does not want to lose to Baltimore. The Steelers the team does not want to lose to Baltimore.
No.
Pittsburgh does not want to lose to Baltimore.
Not at all.
I can't imagine Mike Tomlin sitting on his guys and standing up at his press conference and saying, you know, we really wanted to focus on beating the Chiefs and winning that game. So we were willing to rest people for the Ravens. And everybody's going to say, listen, I don't care if they have to pull guys out in a body bag. The one thing you need to do each season is beat the Ravens.
Yes, exactly. Mike, I agree with you on that because we not only have to beat the Ravens, we need to win the division. Because if we win the division and beat the Ravens, we could sort of bring our playoffs up, our hopes up a little bit more than what they are. We lose the division to the Ravens, we're gonna drop in the playoff hunt here. And I think even though we've already claimed the playoff berth, but that doesn't mean too much if you can't get the division and win at least 2 of these 3 games. I'd like to see us beat the Ravens and the Bengals. I'm not worried about Kansas City that much, but if we do beat Kansas City, that's a bonus. Okay, because
ding, 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 ding. You guys want to win those 2 remaining division games.
Yes.
So if you're worried about guys being healthy, you rest them for the Chiefs game on Christmas. You don't rest them for the Ravens, and you don't rest them for the Bengals.
Right. Yeah, because I think the division games, if Mahomes doesn't play and they go with Carson Wentz, okay, in Kansas City, and Kansas City's been eking out their games. They haven't been blowing people out like they used to. Their defense has kept them in games too. And I think it's pretty much a little bit of a league thing a little bit. There's some teams that are blowing out teams and other teams that are scraping by with wins and stuff. Speaking of that, Mike, tell us a little bit about what's going on with the Commanders. Boy, did they have a squeaker this week, 20-19 they won. Your thoughts on that game?
I don't even know really in a lot of ways what to say about that one. This was a game that you wanted to see them go in and recapture some of the form that they had when they won 7 of their first 8, right?
Right.
And you're looking at a basically depleted Saints team. They're down to a guy. They're down to their 3rd quarterback. Injuries are on their 2nd head coach. Alvin Kamara goes out early, and somehow, mostly through self-inflicted wounds, penalties, missed field goals, overthrown passes. The Commanders let the Saints hang around, and to the point where they had to defend a 2-point conversion to win the game. I don't know that if that game had gone to overtime, that the Commanders would have won. Maybe it was a case that they had one eye on the end of the season. They're looking at their game up next week. They've got the Eagles at home. This was a game they lost in Philly earlier this season. They felt like it was one that they could have been competitive in. They weren't, not for nothing. The Eagles are a really good team right now.
Right.
And the Commanders might have been a little bit focused on trying to beat the Eagles. Kind of like the Eagles laid an egg against the Panthers ahead of the Steelers, because it seemed like they were more focused on beating the Steelers than they were on and they just figured we can beat the Panthers on talent.
Right.
Teams now have the better part of 15 games worth of tape on 14 games worth of tape on Jaden Daniels. And once you give a defensive coordinator that amount of tape, they're going to be able to start to figure things out. I'm still trying to figure out with the Commanders what they actually have in Brian Robinson. Here's a guy who, over the course of his 3 years, they've really been big on. They think that he could be a bellwether, bell cow type back, a primary back. He's only a 2-down back because he's not a great receiver, but at the same time, he's not going to reach. He probably won't reach 1,000 yards. He's just barely over 700 right now.
Right.
Probably won't reach 1,000 yards for the season. But I do know in the games where he has gotten over 17 carries, the Commanders have scored 40 points, and
Right.
in all but 2 of them. When he's had over 100 yards, the Commanders' offense has scored 40 points. So, what part of me wonders why the Commanders don't just turn around and hand the ball off to Brian Robinson, let him run the ball, and take some of the pressure off of Jaden Daniels.
And challenge the defense to stop it. And if they don't stop it, keep running. You know what I mean?
He's not as big as Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley, but he's still a pretty big kid. He's around 215, 220. So he's still a pretty powerful, direct runner. I feel like his reputation is that he's able to fight for the extra yard, but he's still gaining around 4 yards a carry. And I think that they want him to be a little bit more. This is a team that's got their share of injuries. Austin Eckler is on IR with a concussion. Zach Ertz left the game last week with a concussion, so we don't know his status. And Noah Brown, their number 2 wide receiver, went down with a rib and kidney injury, so he's done for the season. They're going to have to be able to generate offense from someplace. I just think, it's a team right now. They've got their 9 wins. This is the best start that they've had since, I think, the 90s. And so they're probably, if I want to say, they're probably a year ahead of where they thought they were, considering that they turned over more than half their roster and they don't have a single first-round pick. This is the most damning stat about Ron Rivera's time with the Commanders.
Right.
They don't have a single first-round pick that he made left on the team.
Wow, that's crazy. Smokin' Jim, you have any questions for Mike in regards to the Commanders or anything?
Yeah, just two quick questions for you, Mike, and I'll couple them both together. Number one, I think Josh Allen is running away with the MVP, even though Lamar Jackson has better stats than him. So I can't understand that. And number two, I think Daniels lost the Rookie of the Year probably to Brock Bowers. What do you think about that?
Well, yes, I think Josh Allen will win the MVP, although there's a dude up in Philly who should be getting a lot more attention than he is, and Saquon Barkley. When you talk about the most valuable player to me, it means the one player out of a very competitive team that if you remove them, things would be a lot different. And I got to say right now, the biggest game changer that I have seen this season has been Saquon Barkley for the Eagles. As far as the Rookie of the Year thing, I think it's really the offensive one, at least, is really a two-horse race in between Bo Nix and Jake Daniels. And it's going to come down to, over the course of the last 3 weeks, who closes the best. Their stats are almost identical. Their passing yards, touchdowns, interceptions. Jaden had a slightly better game than Bo Nix did. Bo Nix threw 3 touchdowns, but he also had 3 interceptions. Jaden Daniels threw for 200 yards, so a little bit less than Bo Nix did, but he had 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. I think this one for the Offensive Rookie of the Year comes down to those two, and it's going to be in optics at the end of the year. Who finishes the strongest?
All right, we have Mike SISZAK with us from Amped Up Sports. Smokin' Jim Frazier, Ralph Williams. We're here every Tuesday, 4 to 5 p.m. It's a Sports Corner show. We're on social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and we're back on Twitter, X platform, and we're working on some other platforms as well. Also, don't forget to subscribe, please, to my YouTube channel. I need 12 more subscribers to make 200. Please help me get that by the end of the year. I would have graciously appreciated. All right, Mike, real quick. Last night there were a couple games. Bears and Vikings. Raiders and the Falcons. Real quick, your thoughts on those games, and then we'll let you go.
Sam Darnold looks really, really good, and I would not be surprised if the Vikings are able to overtake the Detroit Lions. The Lions are just so banged up on defense.
Yes.
They can't stop anything right now. How do you get to 42 points and lose a game? Dan Campbell's resorting to kicking onside kicks with 12 minutes left, down by 10, in an effort to just try and steal possessions. And it's a shame because they are really good, but we just keep waiting for it all to turn into a pumpkin for Sam Darnold, and it's going to be those things where it's one of those things where if it happens, it's going to be painful to watch because he's had such a great season. As far as the Bears game goes, I wonder whether that one is nurture versus nature when it comes to Caleb Williams. If he had actually been drafted by the Commanders and put into the situation that Jaden Daniels is in right now, would he look a lot better than he does? He goes into what can only be called a dysfunctional organization. They hung on to Matt Eberflus even though they weren't convinced by him. They probably should have gotten rid of him and brought somebody in specifically work with Caleb Williams. They don't. He looks confused, and I wonder so much whether or not if he was on the Commanders, if we swap roles in between Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, would we be talking about Caleb Williams potentially as the Rookie of the Year instead of Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that. And Sam Darnold, comeback player of the year. I mean, he and his career was really bad, and then all of a sudden he comes to Minnesota, and Kevin O'Connell gets him moving, and and now you got Brian Flores there. See, everybody forgets about Brian Flores. He's a good defensive coordinator, and that defense, that Vikings defense, is working itself really well. I watched a little bit of the game last night. I was switching around a little bit there, but Raiders and Falcons. Falcons 15, Raiders 9, all field goals, I think, in this game. Kirk Cousins is getting all this money and can't even put a whole bunch of points on the board. The Raiders are awful. Desmond Ridder is our quarterback, and they just look completely out of control. We'll start with you, Smokin' Jim. Here, we'll ask you your thoughts on the games last night: Bears, Vikings, Falcons, Raiders.
I enjoyed the Vikings. Anytime you get to see Jordan Addison in the bonus.
That's my man too, man. You got me convinced, and I was convinced anyway. I agreed with you on the Jordan Addison thing. They
still in contention for the number 1 seed, so that's a great thing. I thought the Philadelphia Eagles the Atlanta Falcons did themselves injustice by taking a quarterback so high in the draft. But
yes,
got so much money invested in Kirk Cousins, but I think it's time to go to the rookie quarterback right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. How about your thoughts, real quick, Mike, before we let you go on this Falcons Raiders game?
I don't think that you can. I don't see a point going right now to Michael Penix. As bad as Kirk Cousins has been playing, I don't understand why they brought Kirk Cousins in and didn't do what Kirk Cousins does best, which is play action. They haven't done enough of that.
Right.
And it's just odd to me why they pay all that money and not think to optimize his talent and what he does best. I don't think that at this point in time where you're still in contention to win the NFC South, you switch to a rookie quarterback. If you've committed to, at this point, redshirting Michael Penix for the year, go for it. Do what you said that you were going to do, because there aren't enough games with 3 left to bring him in, let him fail, bring him, and then let him sit, watch the game, and bring him back in. You can't do now what the Panthers have done with, say, Bryce Young, or what the Indianapolis Colts did with Anthony Richardson, and let him sit for a couple of weeks, watch the game, take what they learned, and come back in. It's a little too late for that. That ship has sailed. So I think that, the Falcons are kind of stuck with what they got, and they've got to figure out a way to get Kirk Cousins back to being the Kirk Cousins that he used to be.
Well, they have Zach Robinson as their offensive coordinator. The Steelers were going to look at him. He was with the LA Rams, and he was the one that was working down there with the Rams and their quarterbacks over the years. So, I mean, Zach Robinson is not a bad coach, but this, I think, is his first go-round as an offensive coordinator. So, that's another problem. I mean, we don't know, what he can do, because this is his first year, and working with a guy like Kirk Cousins is a little bit of a, stretch there. All right, guys, Mike, thank you for being part of the program. It was great having you on here again. Mike SISZAK, Amped Up Sports. Check out some of the stuff he does on Amped Up Sports. And I will be going, or we will be going here, Sports Corner Show, the Sports Corner Radio Show, and the External Bum Show will also be on Amped Up Sports' website. We will also be putting more shows on with it, doing more business with Amped Up Sports as we go along. I just worked that deal out over the weekend. So, Mike, you have yourself.
Gentlemen, you guys take care.
Thank you, Mike. You have yourself a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Smokin' Jim, anything you want to talk about with Mike?
Hey, great job as usual, Mike.
All right. He just disappeared. He had to get off the air here. Smokin' Jim, we're going to go over these NFL games here real quick. Then we got a couple bills we got to pay here real quick. So, digital data. Check out digitaldata.com. They're the ones who have done my website, www.rwmediaproductions.com. They can do one for you at a low monthly price, and they will manage your website. I give them what I need them to put up, and they put it up, and they get back to me and say it's done. All right. You have a person who is actually the guy that works with you on your website. You don't work on 600 other websites. He works on yours. All right. So digital data, what a great way to get your website up, and they'll manage it for you as well at a low monthly price, digitaldata.com. All right, let's get started, Smokin' Jim, some of the NFL games this week. Let's go. Let's see here. Let's get started with some of the games coming up this week. Broncos, Chargers. That's Thursday. That's this Thursday night. That's a division game. Your thoughts on that game?
It's pretty tough, man. The Broncos are on a roll. I think the Chargers need the game more. Where's the game being played at?
In L.A. In L.A.
I'm going with the Chargers.
Okay. Chargers at home, right? All right, there we go.
Yes, sir.
All right, Texans and Chiefs. That's a Saturday game, 1:00. This is going to be a dogfight. The Texans are still doing pretty well for themselves. The Chiefs, they're squeaking it out by the chin of their chinny chin chin, and we could see Carson Wentz at quarterback again, because I don't know the injury with Mahomes. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, Mahomes got the high ankle sprain, and the Chiefs haven't been scoring a whole lot of points. Is that game in Houston?
No, it's in Kansas City.
Kansas City. Should be a good game. If Mahomes don't play, I look for Houston to win that one.
All righty. Okay, next game we have here. Let's see if I can find it here. All right, this is going to be an interesting game. We know where this game is going to go. Giants and Falcons. I'm taking the Falcons in this. It's in Atlanta. The Giants, as Luther and a lot of other people have said, is a dumpster fire. What are your thoughts here?
Falcons.
Oh, you know it. All right. Next, Bears and the Lions. This Sunday, 1:00 at Chicago. Your thoughts? I'm taking the Lions.
The curse already kicked in on the Lions. They've gotten injury after injury after injury. I think their running back Montgomery's out for the season, but every week the injury list is adding on and on. But I still think the Lions can beat the Bears.
Okay. Cardinals, Panthers. We know who's going to win that game. I don't even want to go any further. So, all right, Rams and Jets. Your thoughts on that game in New York or in New Jersey? I'm sorry.
Man, the Jets. That's the first time I've seen Aaron Rodgers having fun playing football. He was enthusiastic.
Yeah.
He was jumping around. He looked like a kid. Rams coming off a big win over the 49ers. Let's go with the Jets.
All right, there you go. Eagles and Commanders at Washington. Eagles. Yep, I'm taking them too. Browns versus the Bengals. What do you think, Smokin' Jim? Bengals and Browns at Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm going with Cincy myself. Titans and Colts. Your thoughts on this? Colts trying to get into the playoffs, squeaking in. Titans as a dumpster fire. Your thoughts on the Colts Titans?
Colts.
Yep, that's what I'm doing too. It's at home. I'm taking them. Vikings and Seahawks. Your thoughts on this game? I'm taking the Vikings here.
Vikings.
Yep, it's in Seattle. This game's going to be a massacre here. Bills and Patriots. I'm taking the Bills. Your thoughts?
Yeah, they had to fire that whole coaching staff for New England.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Jaguars and Raiders. How about two dumpster fires here? Your thoughts on them? That's in Las Vegas.
Might go with the Raiders here.
Yeah, well, I don't know about Doug Peterson's job security down there in Jacksonville, but we'll see. 49ers, Dolphins at Miami.
Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm taking the Dolphins. 49ers, they haven't been doing too good. Buccaneers, Cowboys. Your thoughts on that?
Baker Mayfield, baby.
Yep, you got it. Buccaneers. This is in Dallas. Saints and Packers. I'm taking the Packers at home. Monday Night Football. Your thoughts on that game?
The Pack is back.
You got it. All right. Steelers Ravens game this week. Smokin' Jim. Who are you taking?
Ravens.
All right. The Chiefs Steelers. You taking the Chiefs too?
Yes, who?
For the Christmas Day game. So.
I can't predict that. Depends if the Steelers listen to me and sit down their injured players. They're not going to beat the Baltimore Ravens with a mash unit. They should try to get those guys healthy. I know Mike disagreed with me, but I don't think they understand the premise. They already beat Baltimore once. Steelers can't play on the road with this rookie offensive line. They need to. You're going to win. You got a better chance of winning at home with healthy players. Getting T.J. Watt out there on a high ankle sprain, and 3 days later you got to play Kansas City Chiefs. He ain't gonna be no good for you. Got to get those guys healthy, man.
All right.
You might get there's no the Steelers won before with some of their backup players. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know what? If they have the good backup players that they've had in the past, they might be able to beat the Ravens, and I think they probably could. I think the Steelers squeak it out by 1, 2, or 3 points. I think they win. It's going to be like a 16-13 game or something to that effect. That's what I think. So we'll see what happens there. I think the Steelers need to really desperately pull this game out. They can't be fooling around. They can't be getting these stupid penalties. They can't be, doing all that stuff. All right.
There's no way they look like a playoff team to anybody against Philadelphia. So they need to. There's a lot of work, man. And I think it begins with sitting down your injured players because they did not look good against Philly at all.
No, they did not. But I will tell you this much, though, Smokin' Jim. I will say this, and that is that, you know, I said it many times. They need to get a quality kick returner in some ways or form. You know, Patterson's not doing it. Austin hasn't been doing much. I mean, he's done a little bit. They need to get somebody to help them score some points in that perspective. Okay.
I agree.
And they haven't had one in a long, long time, and they need to get one. They need. I don't care if it's a free agent. I don't care if it's a. You know, they can't have the Ryan Switzer wave your hand all the time. You know what I mean? They got to get somebody who can get us some field position, and that's
Probably the last one was Antonio Brown, maybe.
Yeah,
Antonio
exactly.
was a good punt returner, you know.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
All right, real quick here. Penguins play the Kings tonight, 7:00. PPG Paints Arena, and then they go away to play the Predators on Thursday, 8:00 game. Your thoughts, real quick, on the Penguins before we wrap it up?
I'm proud of those guys.
Yeah, they're 13, 14, and 5, and they're playing the Kings, who are 15 or 18, 9, and 3. So let's see what happens here tonight as they play the Kings at home. You know, they're starting to come around a little bit. Let's see what they do. It's the roller coaster ride of the Penguins, like it is every year. So, all right, Smokin' Jim, and we're getting ready to wrap things up here. Sports Corner Show. I'm Ralph Williams. You have been in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studio, 724-2010-500. Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. Call them today if you need anything done with your air conditioning or your heating. All right, Smokin' Jim, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No.
All right. Stay tuned. Coming up next, Wrestle Talk with me, Ralph Williams, Smokin' Jim Frazier, 5 p.m. to 5:30, and we'll be back shortly. And until next week for Sports Corner Show, I'm Ralph Williams, the Booking Machine, and for Smokin' Jim Frazier, have yourself a great one. Thank you.